August is upon us, and if you work in sales development, you know what that means. It is one of the most difficult months to get opportunities, to secure pipeline, and to hit our targets. So today, I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about some of the things that you can do to make yourself more successful during the summer period or some of those other quiet periods throughout the year. So the first thing to acknowledge is that summer is tough in sales development. There is no doubt about that. There are a lot of people on holiday, so we receive a lot of out of office replies on email. It's a really easy time for prospects to say no, because even if they're there, their colleagues are on holiday and they can say that they don't have time to think about this right now, or they need to wait for someone to return for approval, and so on and so forth. And also in summer in general, there's a lack of focus around the office. Therefore, there's a lack of willingness for prospects to commit to things. So it is definitely more difficult. You are not imagining it. However, that does not mean that it's impossible. And if you have a growth mindset, you will know that for every challenge that we face, there is also an opportunity within that challenge. And I truly believe that's true in summertime as well. So although it is difficult, let's not forget that there are some things that we can do. And the first thing I would say is that you want to focus on things that you can control. You cannot control when people are out of office. You cannot control if people will not commit to taking a meeting with you. However, one opportunity that is provided during these quieter months, particularly July and August, is that you will receive a lot of out of office replies. And with that usually comes at least a confirmation that the email alias that you're using is correct. Very often, within their automatic reply, they will give the contact details of another person within their team. So either a colleague on the same level as them, therefore they're definitely appropriate to reach out to, or sometimes it is one of their superiors, which very often can be an even better person to reach out to. So my first tip is to absolutely capitalize on the information that you gather within these automatic emails. If you're finding colleague referral or colleague email addresses, make sure that you capture those, save them in your CRM, and actually prospect those people as well. Another thing that you will very often get within automatic replies is direct dials or mobile numbers or direct extensions to your prospect. So be sure to, again, capture those, save them, and use them when you know that the person is back in the office. Personally, I wouldn't recommend calling someone while they're on holiday. You're very unlikely to get a meeting secured, but at the very least you have more information about them that you can use when they return. I've talked a little bit about when they return, so maybe you've guessed it. Don't just look at the out of office reply and say, oh, I can't get an up from that person today, right now. Instead, take a note of when they're back. If there's any information in the email about where they are, sometimes people say, I'm out of office enjoying a family vacation in Mexico. Make a note in your calendar of when they're back, what their mobile number is, and where they were. I would not recommend calling someone on the very first day back in the office, but if they say they're back on a Monday, put a note in your calendar to give them a call on, let's say, Thursday. And acknowledge, be human, all right? That's, I think, a big thing that we always forget in sales development. Acknowledge that they were away. Acknowledge that the first week back will be busy, and let them know that you're just calling to try to secure some time in the next week or two, so on and so forth. So that is the first thing. Don't forget to capitalize on a lot of information that you can capture just from those out of office emails. The second thing to remember is that, unfortunately, you're not going to have as many meetings probably in August as you would like. But what that does mean is that is freeing up time that otherwise would be spent on prospect meetings is now white space in your calendar. So don't just decide that August is going to be a fail and you're not going to be as busy. Instead, prioritize activities that you normally don't have time for. For me, number one, you do have to work harder in August to hit your number. So you need to have extra time lead mining, researching, and reaching out to prospects in order to actually capture some meetings. So you definitely need to double down on your prospecting. Number 2, there are always things that we are meaning to do that we never have time to do, such as putting in some time for self-development, whether that's working on some of your sales development skills through enablement, whether that is, reading sales books, helping you to improve your overall technique. Perhaps it is reaching out to your network. So internally, getting to know your AEs better, figuring out ways to add value to those around you, helping you to expand your internal network and develop your personal brand internally. Or maybe you actually just want to spend that time researching or becoming more knowledgeable in the specific area that you're working. So you could listen to some podcasts, seek out some articles, increase your time spent on LinkedIn, where you're capturing information and understanding what's happening, so that when you do connect with your prospects, you're going to be more knowledgeable and more credible in those conversations. So the second tip is be sure to use the additional spare time that you have wisely, because you don't often get the chance to focus on anything outside of your normal activities, and this may be an opportunity. The third thing I would recommend doing is acknowledging that yes, August may be quieter and more difficult. Therefore, when you're planning your strategy for your quarter for Q3, be sure to include that realization into your plan. So what I mean by that is, if you have a target of, let's just say, 10 ops per month, 30 ops per quarter, instead of saying I'm going to do 10 in July, 10 in August, and 10 in September, you might need to change the ratio a little bit in order to give yourself a chance to be successful, because we know August is more difficult. We know that people will be on PTO. So maybe we'll say, let's do 8 in July, 5 in August, and the remainder in September. Because traditionally, September is a back to business month. It can be a lot more, it can be a lot busier. You can secure a lot more meetings, and people are a lot more willing to speak to you. With that, you also want to make sure that maybe you are planning your own PTO within the time where it's quieter for you in your company or in your business. So for example, at one stage I was supporting the Middle East region, and I would align my holidays to the holidays that were traditionally taking place in the Middle East, because that's when my prospects were out of office. So if I'm out of office when they are out of office, at least I'm not missing out on any opportunities, because I was not going to get through to anybody anyway. It's just something to think about. The fourth and final piece of advice I would give is all about your mindset. If you decide that August is going to be a fail at the beginning of the month, it will be, guaranteed. So although August is a more difficult month and you do have to approach it differently, you have got to build a plan that takes that into consideration and continue on with the belief that you can still be successful. Because subconsciously, if you decide that August is too difficult and you won't hit, your effort will go down, your enthusiasm will go down, your activity will go down without you even noticing it. And you will actually set yourself up for failure before the month even begins. So don't forget to be human, to acknowledge that it will be difficult, but also plan for that. And then to work with your prospects, acknowledging where they are and what's happening in their lives to help you to hopefully secure some meetings in August. But if not, at least make sure that you're making those meetings happen in September. We know it's tough out there, so I will say the very best of luck, and I'll see you next time.